One, two, three, four. What up, y'all? Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy Jermaine Babbles. How y'all doing? It's week one of the quarantine. It's episode 31, week 31, essentially, because I drop episodes every week. So it's episode 31, week 31. How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. Treating each other well. Taking care of yourselves and each other. You know what I'm saying? It's episode 31. It's March 22nd. Shit. I just looked at my phone. It's about to die. Better charge that before I lose the script. Then I'll be JD from NY 206. Nobody understands that reference. He has a podcast called Off the Script. So, yeah, I would be off the script. JD from NY206. I'm going to give you guys the social medias here. If you want to follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon 5 Pod. If you want to follow my personal account, it's it's at my name's Jermaine. If you want to email the podcast, it's babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow the podcast on Podbean at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. If you guys are home during the quarantine, if you got Xbox One, you want to play some Xbox with me, my gamer tag is SauceBoss414. If you guys want to play some Xbox One, I play 2K, I got some other games. I got UFC. I got some shit. It's some shit I just don't really play. I got Civilization. We can play it. If y'all play if you're listening to this and you play Civilization, hit me up, because I've never played a multiplayer game. I think I can just go online and play a game, but I'm scared that these strangers will just embarrass me. Because I've been playing Civilization since high school, but I don't think I understand. I think I only understand maybe about 25% of what I'm supposed to be doing, in all terms. I don't think I have resources. I don't think I'm not building toward the right, finding resources. There's certain characters and things in the game that you can create, and I just will never create that character. And for me, that tells me that there's something I'm not aware of in this game, because there'll be a ton of those characters where it's if they don't create damage, or they're not a special person or whatever it is, where you get when you get not Ben Franklin, but you get that person that it'll boost you, learn a technology or whatever. You know what if you play the game, you'll get a special person and you can learn a technology really fast, or you can speed up your production of learning technology, which I would say in the most cases the smarter bet, because you're learning faster. You'll eventually get to that one technology you're trying to reach. But yeah, so because of that reason, because if certain characters I develop, I don't really use spies too often. Maybe once in a while I'll develop spies, but there's just certain characters where they're there, I unlock them, they're there, and I never use them, I never build them, and I'm there's got to be some part of this game that I just never even thought to think about. There's a lot of this I don't know. But maybe I should play it, because then I can play it and get schooled, and then I'll learn something. That's how I'm going to learn. So if you got an Xbox One, go ahead and add me SauceBoss414. That was a nice little tangent there. If you want to check out the merch, the merch is teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And just earlier today, actually, if you guys followed me, I don't think anyone did. Shout out to Zach, who's followed me from before. Shout out to Zach. The Twitch account is twitch.tv/Babylon5. I played some Skyrim. Played a little Skyrim today. Just started a brand new character, Makajit. It's named Africa Cat. Africa Cot. Like Khat. Just a cat with black fur. Just a black ass cat. Africa Cat. It's gonna be my focus right now is because I got that build so I could get high up on sneaking, and it starts with a boost in sneaking because it's a fucking cat, and so I got that pretty high up already, and then pretty beastie with my mage skills. I went to where did I go? I think it's called like Winterhold. Yeah, like the College of Winterhold. Like I just went there right away to like do that shit or whatever to try to like. I don't think you're learning. I don't know. It's just like I encounter people with more spell tomes. It seems like just being on those missions and whatnot, I'm getting more spell tomes and just learning more spells. Just being around those motherfuckers. So yeah, we started a character on Skyrim. I played a little bit more after the stream, just because I wanted to. Because, I don't know, that was a weak-ass character, and I was dying over and over. I kept dying, and I was like, yo, I gotta build this nigga up one time. Because I'm trying to go on these missions that are too big for his britches. So if you want to watch me play a little Skyrim, I think I'm babbling just a little bit on there. There's a few people coming through, so shout out to whoever y'all was. I fucks with y'all. So what was it, yesterday or last night? A little thirsty there. Last night, my wife and I, we watched the Aladdin, the live action Aladdin, and going into it, so like I didn't see it in theaters. I just kind of like saw that. I mean, even though like I fucks with Will Smith, you know what I'm saying? I fucks with Will Smith. Who don't fuck with Will Smith? And so even though I knew Will Smith was in it, I was like, that's about to be terrible. And you're going to ruin my childhood because I fucked with Aladdin. You know what I'm saying? I felt like Aladdin was a real nigga. You know what I'm saying? He came from the streets. He came from nothing and worked his way to the top. You know what I'm saying? Aladdin was a real nigga. And that's how I felt about. So I didn't want them to ruin it with this real life nonsense. But they kept the aspect of being a real nigga out there for my nigga Aladdin. They kept the aspect of being a real nigga out there. And I want to say that I thought it would have been maybe a little weird having Will Smith play the genie, but him throwing his Will Smith vibe on it, you know what I'm saying? Like really worked for me as a new way to do it, to redo the story. I thought it actually worked. I thought it was gonna be corny. Lo and behold, it was actually a pretty good movie. So if you haven't seen that Aladdin movie with Will Smith, I say check it out. It's not too bad. Will Smith does his thing. I wonder how much he gets paid for that. I know he probably got like 20 million to play the genie, if not more at this point. And he probably got like an extra 5 million per song that he did. He's a beast. I was just thinking the other day, if I have kids, I want to they gotta watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when they're old enough to understand what's going on in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They gotta watch it. They're gonna start watching it because that's just it's just the way it passed, man. Like, is that the phrase? I don't know if that's the right phrase. Way of passage. I don't know. But yeah, niggas gotta watch that show. You know what I'm saying? It's just how it's gotta be. Will Smith's that dude. Check out Aladdin. My one issue with it was Jafar was young as fuck in here, which didn't really make any sense to me. Like in the cartoon, Jafar is definitely like a lot older, and because I thought it was weird. Like in this movie, it's like, why would this old ass Sultan just be like letting this young ass nigga advise him about anything right now. Get this young ass nigga out of here. How did he work his way up to there? I don't care about no magic, nigga. I don't care about that. And nigga, if your magic was that fucking powerful, what the fuck you need that genie for anyway? Why you bring that nigga into this? You seemed like you had everything under control with that staff. You could have did everything your goddamn self, but you brought the genie into this. Farewell. So, yesterday I did a live stream on Facebook Live. I was gonna try to do it on Instagram, but I figured I found out at the time that I was trying to live stream that you can't live stream from your laptop. You have to do it from your phone. And I guess I could have done that in some way, but I didn't. I didn't do that, so it's not what happened. I did it on Facebook Live. Had a few bumbles, a few hiccups there, you know. I don't know. There was just some awkward moments. There was like a couple songs in there from like from the summer, the songs that I dropped last summer. Right when I got this equipment, I bought this equipment. I was like, I'm just gonna fuck around with these equipment, and I made these songs off of Nate Fisher's beats, and that was me just trying to like learn how to mix, just get used to this equipment, and I was like, fuck, I wanted to like do those songs because I felt like I didn't really promote them enough, like they could have been. And I just wanted to give them a little more shine, but maybe I didn't do them justice because I haven't listened to them in quite a bit, and I just completely didn't know them. So it's my bad on me for that. So yeah, I fucked up on that. but lo and behold, I was out there killing it with the in-betweens. That was always actually the weak point for me, because I used to go out there and just bar niggas to death and kill them live performances, but then like be just like awkward and silent. And if I had to speak, it was like weird. I didn't want to talk in between songs, but I spaced it out perfect. I spaced it out intentionally just to like, I was like, nah, nigga, we finna do it today. Niggas is finna do it today. So, yeah, I did it, and I was killing it. I was like, fuck, I'd rather just live stream and babble and maybe throw y'all 1 or 2 songs. Like, I still got some shit that I'm working on. Well, not that I'm working on. Like what I did the other day, like Bread, that's mixed. And it's recorded and mixed. But we'll see. I might switch it around. I might switch some things around. But I mean, as far as I know, everything's done. As far as that's concerned, so I'm not working on things, but I got some things I could work out. You know, me fucking up right there. I definitely would like to just redeem myself with some solid performances. I think I redeemed myself at the end of it anyway. I did my song Bread, and I did my song Pandemic that I dropped. I lied to you guys and said I was going to drop it at the end of the episode. And then at the end of the episode, I was like, nah. Like at the end, I was just like, nah. They can go find it. If you're hearing this and you're like, oh shit, is it at the end? And you didn't hear it, then go find it on the stream and stream it. Give me that stream. So I didn't put it on there. So you niggas could go get that stream. Go give me that stream. If it's real, you know, go get that stream so I know it's real. Yeah. So you know, I was just killing it with the babbles, and lo and behold, I love podcasting. So in the future, I'm gonna do more live streams that are probably about 70% babbles and about 30% music. I'm sorry. I'm watching in the background. I'm watching Colby Covington versus Kamaru Usman, and just at that moment, it's the 5th round, and And I was rooting for Kobe. I was there. As some of you might know, I was in Las Vegas watching that fight in December, and I was rooting for Kobe. And just in that moment when I went silent there, Kobe got rocked and knocked on the ground. It's just right at the end of the fight. It was pretty sad to see. But as I was watching this fight again, I'm going to jump into this. I was just watching this fight again. I was watching some more fights this weekend. And I'm watching this fight again, and Kobe's beating the shit out of Kamaru in the first round. I didn't realize how much he was beating the shit out of Kamaru in that first round. He's really piecing this man up this whole fight. And Kamaru would just catch him with, like, harder shots, but Kobe was piecing this man the fuck up. And I almost forgot how much this man was piecing him the fuck up. All right. So, yeah, going to do more shows, more live streams, 70% Babbles, 30% songs. Lo and behold, a nigga loves podcasting. Who woulda thunk it? Who woulda thunk it, my nigga? So last week, I strongly stated that the president would probably put the nation on quarantine by the time you heard my voice last week, Monday. But lo and behold, I look into it, and that's actually a governor's call. The governor has to make that call. It's state policy. It's state policy, and the mayor, I think, who is quarantined after coming in contact with the person who tested positive for COVID. I think that's up to him to make that decision to put the city on quarantine. Hold on a second. Yeah. Sorry, my phone is acting up. Yeah, so California, Illinois, and Washington have shelter-in-place orders, which is like them stating that was telling everybody to stay home unless it's essential to leave, right? And I wrote in these notes that I've seen pictures of the National Guard deployed all over America. And I wrote in here, who knows if those are true? And I said to my wife earlier today, I was like, well, I would have recorded, but I wanted to just like wait and see if there's like a headline or something that I probably would want to throw in there. And right before I recorded, it came out that Donald Trump has deployed the National Guard in California, Washington, and New York. California, Washington, and New York. New York also has a shelter-in-place order. So I think it's only a matter of time before he deploys the National Guard in Illinois. I was just reading, National Guard, because this was pretty crazy. And there's a lot of people I see here in Milwaukee who don't really take this serious. They don't feel like it's a real thing. They think this guy was saying to me the other day that the media is creating this, and his friend called the news to complain about it, and he was so proud of his friend for calling and telling them that that they're the disease and that there's nothing, like everybody's going to be fine and they need to stop. And I couldn't believe it. But so Trump also said, along with deploying the National Guard, that he's instructed FEMA to provide 4 large medical stations with 1,000 beds to New York, 8 large federal medical stations with 2,000 beds to California, 3 small medical stations with 1,000 beds to Washington, and supplies should be in New York and California within 48 hours. And there's going to be 2 naval hospitals deployed. There's going to be one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. The USS Mercy will be sent to Los Angeles and not Washington State. But there's going to be they're setting up, what I was saying, they're setting up makeshift hospitals now. Like, that's a thing that is in these major cities, is that they don't have enough space for all the cases, and they got to set up all these makeshift hospitals. And here it is. Here's Trump saying that they're sending out to set up these facilities. So there's a lot of people I see here who are saying it's fake. They're saying they don't believe it. I posted a status where I was talking about it. I was like, we got to prepare because this could last like 2 years. And this guy said it's not real. This guy Cam, he said it's not real and that it's just China is trying to impose their will and become the new superpower. And there's no real disease. It's just the media is making it up. And someone commented and said one of their friends tested positive and they're currently in critical condition. And the person commented saying, okay, let me rephrase. It's real, but it's not that deep. And it's just like, that's insanity to me to say something like that. It's real, but it's not that deep. And it's like, does it have to be a personal thing? It has to like personally affect you before it's that deep. You know what I'm saying? Before this is real. This has been an issue for a long time, for months. The reports recently came out that Trump had the intelligence reports warning that a pandemic was coming 3 months ago. As I told y'all, I was talking about this back in December. I was worried about this back in December. I didn't go to the Zhang Weili fight. I'm a huge fan of Zhang Weili. But at the time when I went to this fight to see Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington, and they announced that fight was happening, because I think they announced that fight was happening, I was like, I can't go. Because at that time, they were saying that was when they were just reporting this virus coming from Wuhan. At the time, it was just the Wuhan virus. And so I was like, I'm not going to that fight. Like something just like, not even like, not being like racist or anything, but it's just like people, if they're saying there's a certain deadly virus in this one city where this fighter and her entire team are about to fly here from, I was like, I'm not about to be in Vegas for that. And so I was worried about this in December. Trump's known about this for the last 3 months, and now they're talking about they hit up my boy Andrew Yang. All right, they hit up my boy Andrew Yang. All right, this is crazy. They hit up my boy Andrew Yang. Everybody said Yang's ideas were too radical. Motherfuckers told me his plan was something that would probably work in 2050 and not 2020. Lo and behold, first sign of crisis, they call my nigga Andrew Yang. The report says the Trump administration contacted Andrew Yang for a plan on how to distribute money to every American over the course of this pandemic. Well, over the next 2 months, they were saying, but there's... I saw Bernie Sanders recently tweet, America needs to pay Americans $2,000 every month of this pandemic going forward. It's like now, like everything that Yang was talking about, Yang was like, this will help prepare for like financial crisis. This is what Yang was preaching on. Everybody said this shit was too radical and it was for a plan and for something that is not going to happen anytime soon. And in a month's sake, he was right. It's here. They're calling my boy Andrew Yang, Make America Think Harder, calling my boy Yang to know, hey, what do we got to do? How do we fix this? I think it's beautiful. All right? I think it's beautiful. Just a side note, from what I've heard, if they don't have primaries, they've canceled a few primaries. If they don't have like the real primaries, apparently, you can't have an election. So let's monitor that situation. But in the places that have had primaries, Joe Biden's killing. He's cleaning house, right? Joe Biden's cleaning house. Guess who's not talking about coronavirus and COVID? Joe Biden. Joe Biden's staying silent. Bernie Sanders has taken a lot of his campaign money and shifted those funds toward like testing and shit like that, or maybe he used like Meals on Wheels. He donated millions of dollars to Meals on Wheels to make sure that all these senior citizens can still eat at a time like this. So shout out to him for that. But it's crazy because even in crisis, and as Creepy Joe stays silent, he's still winning these states. He's not saying anything about this crisis that's going on right now, and he's still winning these states. It's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy to see. And, sorry. And, I just don't understand, I'm so sorry. I just don't understand how people can be so blind. As I was saying before, and it's like the whole thing with Yang, not left, not right, but forward. I was saying, I don't care if, I don't want this person to win, I don't want that person to win. I just want what's best for all of us. You know what I'm saying? I want what's best for all of us, not left, not right, forward. And lo and behold, when crisis strikes, they called my boy Andrew Yang. And then when crisis strikes, the guy that you guys are voting to try and beat Donald Trump for whatever reason has been silent on this issue. He's been silent on it. So, I don't know. That's just a little weird side note there. I'm not a fan. They're sending out the National Guard. Everybody in the nation should probably be, I don't know about everybody in the nation. I mean, because there's some states where the cases aren't super high. There's some states where they acted quickly, where they started getting tests quickly. And they, you know, and right away they were like, we got to do the social distancing. They put people on lockdown. And in those places, they have testing and people are in quarantine and people aren't testing positive. They're just testing positive in low numbers. So the states that acted quickly, the states that aren't acting like us, like Wisconsin right now, that's where things are going to get bad. I think we should have acted a long time ago. I saw my buddy George post like, when is it time to shut everything down? When is it time, like public transportation? A city bus driver just tested positive for COVID-19. City bus driver just tested positive. Northwestern Mutual employee tested positive. I think doctors, lots of doctors at Children's Hospital, probably every doctor or nurse at every hospital has tested positive or probably is positive. They're saying like people don't show symptoms and people that don't show symptoms are the most contagious of this disease. There's so many people that don't think it's real. And it's really worrisome because they're still partying, they're still like hanging out, doing things, and they think it's just the media. And you're killing everybody, man. You're killing everybody. They're talking about sending money to all the Americans because the bills still got to get paid unless they come down and say no. Like everybody, I saw a post someone was sending around trying to encourage people just to like send the letter saying we're not paying, like because everybody, it's like even if you can pay, like you know everybody's stronger if we stand together and say like no we can't, like we're not doing that. And I agree, but that sounds cool, but nobody's gonna do it, or not everybody's gonna do it, so it's not gonna work. So they're trying to send money to people because a fucking crisis is about to happen, man. They see how in other countries people are looting supermarkets. They're looting food pantries. All right? It's really bad in some countries. Italy, it's pretty bad there. Countries where they get the test out and they're doing things, they see improvements where they're actually taking action. But places like Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all the states right now who are not doing the stay of shelter or whatever, shelter in place. If you're not doing a shelter in place, it's silly. I'm an American hero, by the way. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Who knows? I could die one of these days. I'm an American hero. I'm not American. I work at I'm a grocery store manager. So you know, I just had one of my cashiers just quit the other day in order to self-quarantine. Like, and the other one, I don't know if she quit, but she sent an email. Whatever. I don't know if she quit, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't coming in because of the pandemic, and the fact that they're talking about this stuff can live in the air like a cloud for like 3 hours. So you should wear glasses. It's just like, it's super highly contagious. I just don't understand why people aren't taking it serious. There's been a lot of things that I didn't take serious in the news. I don't want to get into that much. Cause I felt like I was off the rails, and now when I'm seeing these people here, I'm like, fuck, was I like that? Cause I'm looking at these people like, how the fuck do you think this way? Like, are you out of your mind? But no, I said, like, I used to be a crazy conspiracy theorist. Like, before I would talk about conspiracies, I would like take the battery out of my phone before I would talk to my friends about conspiracies, because that's how much of a conspiracy theorist I was. I'm like, they're listening at all times. So I'd take my battery out of my phone. Just craziness, you know what I'm saying? Just craziness. And I didn't believe anything I saw on the news. I didn't believe, like, the Boston bombing. I thought that was news. I thought the news created that event. I thought, I'm getting into it. I thought a few of those, like, mass shootings back in the day, like Sandy Hook and all that. I thought that was media created events. As I was saying, like, my innocent wife doesn't even know who Alex Jones is, and that's pure innocence right there. Like, you didn't sit, terrified in a room that the government is coming because you know too much. And it's like, bro, just get some sleep. Like, you've been up for too long, smoking weed, watching these videos, nigga, go to sleep. But that's who I was at one point, and I used to think that, like, the media created all those things, and I thought I knew something that all these people that thought I was crazy for thinking that, I thought I knew something that they didn't know, and they needed to wake up and see what I knew. You know what I'm saying? That's how I thought. For whatever reason, that's how I thought at the time. And so I think the tables have turned, I see how easily it is to fall in that trap of thinking, nah, it's just the media creating it. Like, it's easy. It's easy for weak people, I guess. I feel like I was young, very impressionable. I say, looking back in that whole situation, if I'm gonna be blunt, like, even just letting the motherfuckers at Madison Media Institute convince me to sign up for that school, then, like, I don't know, just, like, moving to Madison probably wasn't the best idea. I was just pretty impressionable by certain things at the time. Certain things seemed appealing, I guess. I don't know. But I see what I'm saying right now is, like, I don't believe that the media, like, today, Jermaine, like, younger Jermaine thought these things and didn't trust anything the media said. I thought pretty much everything was a lie that I saw in the media. And, but I don't feel that way. I feel like if you're telling me that this virus isn't real and these deaths aren't real stats around the world and in America, and it isn't a real problem that we can't see, that the government doesn't see, and it's just on the news, that the government wouldn't shut that shit down. They wouldn't allow them to keep reporting these lies. And, like, why would they just continue to be amped up by a fake story? Like, it's frustrating to think about. You know, it's frustrating to think about. So, yeah. I just hope everybody's taking care of themselves. I hope for this shelter in place ASAP in Wisconsin as soon as possible. I don't think it can come soon enough. Like, come, like, today, say tomorrow. I was, woke up yesterday hoping that that was the news I'd wake up to, and I woke up today hoping that was the news I'd wake up to. And I'm hoping tomorrow it really is the news that we're waking up to. Everybody's got a shelter in place, because it's silly. It's just silly. All right? People are dying. People are out here getting sick. Let's just shut it all down for a little bit. It's peaceful out there. It's tranquilo. So, we gonna talk about some sports. Oh, we gonna talk about some sports. I was, so I'm watching, as I was watching the Colby Covington, I'm just watching some fights on ESPN Plus. But when I went onto the ESPN app, the first thing that it said that they were playing was WrestleMania 30 on ESPN. I was so curious the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, I can check. I was curious, what are they playing what are they showing on ESPN? What are they talking about on ESPN when there's no sports? And they're showing WrestleMania right now, so absolutely nothing. They're talking about absolutely nothing. They're showing fake sports on ESPN right now. You know what's crazy? I was watching a clip of wrestling because they're still putting on shows in empty arenas, which is fucking weird. Because, all right, so you don't understand how much you need an audience until there's no audience there, and a surprise person, someone surprisingly shows up, surprise debut, whatnot. And then everybody else is just all the wrestlers are freaking out and bug-eyed and looking intense. And it's just this person just standing there and there's no audience. There's no reaction to it. It's just fucking weird. And yeah, we're living in weird times. Cage Warriors had a fight. There was two MMA organizations that had fights over the weekend. I didn't see either one, but I'm watching UFC fights right now. I'm watching replays. I watched I'm gonna wait for that. So the UFC is trying to move forward, all right? Everything is canceled. UFC is trying to move forward with these fights. They said that the three upcoming fights are supposed to be a fight this weekend in London. It's supposed to be Tyron Woodley versus Leon Edwards, and that was going to be moved to America, but as I said last week, that thing got whole shut down, and then eventually it got kiboshed by the government because they were we can't allow that many people in a building together. You can't allow that many people in a gathering, so that fight got shut down. Dana White is holding firm that Khabib versus Ferguson is going to happen no matter what. And he said that, and then they hadn't. So he said that and the fight was still booked. And then New York said, hey, that fight can't happen. We're changing regulations through past that date, through April 18th. That fight can't happen here. Dana White says we're going to move the location of the fight. And he's bet against. He was you do not want to bet against me about this. That fight will happen no matter what. I think personally, they should just shut it down. Shut it down. All right? Shut it down. So, I saw the videos and reports of Khabib's training alone. Right, he's training with just one person, I think. He's got no, sparring partners. He's not really... He's training, either by himself or I said alone, but I would imagine there's one other person there. Somebody took that picture. So I imagine there's one other person there. It wasn't a selfie. I would imagine somebody else is there. So he's training. Everybody's training is, because you can't, like most gyms or every gym pretty much everywhere, if they haven't shut them down in your state yet, it's happening soon, and they should have did it a long time ago. But they shut down all gyms pretty much, and they shut down all gyms, and so nobody can really train the way they used to. And my thing about that is, like, Tony can't train the way he used to, but he's still doing some intense training. He's a wild man, you know. He's still doing some intense training. But the thing is I don't want to just see the fight under these conditions, you know. When I think about, like, right now I'm watching Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald, the 25 best fights in MMA history or in UFC history, and when I think about this Tony Khabib fight, I want to see them fight, but I don't want to just see them fight. I want to see them at the top of their game. You know what I'm saying? I want to see these guys trained hard, ready to go. Great nutrition, minds focused. I want them focused on this fight. I want everything right. I don't want this to be like, this guy had to train like with one guy, super compromised over here. This guy trained by himself, like it's super weird training. Everybody's coming in weird, like to some random undisclosed location so far. They were going to have the fights on an Indian reservation in Oklahoma City, or in Oklahoma, something. But then, yeah, shit got shut down before. And Dana White is trying to say, like, since he's got the Apex, the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, he can put on his own shows. But the state of Nevada, like, outlawed. They banned MMA fighting up until, like, I think the end of this, I think until the 28th, they're going to go and vote again. And I doubt they're going to vote to have more MMA. I doubt they're going to have that. Especially since they're openly saying that they're not testing fighters pre-fight. Well, they hadn't for any of the Brazil fights, and they didn't speak about having any intentions to test anybody going into this card this past Saturday. There was no intentions. They were upfront about that. There was no intention to test any fighters for COVID-19 going into this what would have been this Saturday's London card, Tyron Woodley versus Leon Edwards. No intentions to test any of those fighters. So I think the chances of this fight happening on April 18th are slim to none. I think they gotta shut this fight down. Shut it down. And if it never happens, it never happens. But, like, we gotta think about the safety of everybody here. This is crazy. I just don't want to see two fighters go in there just because. Like, I want them properly trained, and I want them at the top of their game. I want to see two elite fighters at the top of their game, and I want to see who fucking wins. Who's the better martial artist? Is that not what we're here for? That's what I'm here for. That's why, like, if you just want to see somebody get beat up, then you should have no problem with any, like, fighter they throw to Valentina Shevchenko or any fighter they throw to Amanda Nunes, for that matter, except each other. Because they're usually going to dominate whoever they fight, because a lot of these girls aren't on their level as far as being martial artists. And so if you want to see someone just get beat up, you should be happy with those fights. But most martial arts fans, when they see a mismatch like that, they're like, no, they shouldn't do that. Don't put her in there because she's just going to get beat up. I want to see a highly competitive bout. You know what I'm saying? I want to see two people, like, around the same level at the top of their game. Like, who comes out? Like, whose martial arts is better? That's what this is about, man. Like, Yeah, it's a show. It's a business for you guys. It's exciting. Knockouts are fun, you know? They're fun to see, but I just want two fighters at the top of their game going in there. But I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter as far as UFC is concerned. They just want to make that money, as we've seen repeatedly. That's all it's about. So it doesn't matter if these guys can't train at all and they know that they can't train. It doesn't matter if both these guys miss weight because they couldn't have trained. And they're going to be like, whatever, the fight's going on. Motherfuckers, you better get in that ring before I murder somebody. That's what Dana White's going to say. That's what Dana White's going to say. And Dana White's not playing. He called the media pussies because they called him out for being like the only one trying to still put on sporting events in the middle of this pandemic. And he called the media pussies for calling him out on it. Dana White don't give a fuck. And they're openly saying they're not testing people. So this is pretty insane. I recently watched... Yesterday, I watched DC versus Stipe 2. Now, it's the fight that I went and saw in Anaheim in August, and by God, that fight was much better than I remember, ladies and gentlemen. Lo and behold, they need a fucking third fight, ladies and gentlemen. Lo and behold, I need a DC Stipe 3 in the future. Hopefully, we'll be together, you and me. Don't you worry. Baby, please, because honestly, if I could rewind. So yeah, this fight was fucking amazing, all right? Fucking amazing. I want to talk about how going into that fight, I just remember DC started saying, like, before he even accepted the fight, he was trying to, like, get a fight with Brock Lesnar, because he was like, because he knocked out Stipe in the first round in the first fight. Knocked him out in the first round. And he's like, he's just not good enough to be in there with me. Like, he didn't want to give him a rematch. He was like, he's just not good enough to be in there with me. And by the end of that fight, ladies and gentlemen, Stipe was river dancing on that nigga. He river danced on that nigga. Knocked him out and then hit the river dance on that nigga. That was the perfect way to do that. After I saw the interview with him afterwards, and he was like, I don't know why I shouldn't have did that. And, like, I'm looking back like, nah, bruh. That was the most swagged out shit. Because he was saying you weren't good enough to be in there. Then you knocked his ass out. And then you river danced on that nigga. That was the best way to do it, my nigga Stipe. A third fight needs to happen. So, as I said in the very first episode of this podcast, I went and saw this fight live, and I didn't see the first round of the fight live because there was a brawl that broke out right when the fight started. So I missed the entire first round, and it was like the bell got rung, and then that's when everybody really started flipping out on these people that were brawling, because it was like, dude, we're missing the whole fucking fight. Like, what the fuck? Everybody was pissed off at that point. So I'm watching this live. DC, like, picks him up, slams him on the ground, and just, like, controls him on the ground, beats him up. And I don't understand why DC didn't really, like, try to wrestle him too much after that. I mean, yes, at some point, Stipe took him down in the third. Stipe took him down, but he wasn't able to control him on the ground. He wasn't able to do anything with it. I don't understand why, at that point, DC took him down in the first, held him, beat him up on the ground. Then you went in the second. And then in the second, he's just like walking forward to Stipe with his hands down. And like he just keeps walking forward with his hands down, getting lit up. And yeah, he's catching Stipe with some counter shots, but he's just getting lit up. And then right going into the fourth, his team's like, yo, put your hands up, stop that. And but it wasn't enough. It was too little, too late. He was taking too much damage to the body. Too many shots to the body. And man, that was all she wrote for him. But I just got to see a third fight. DC is like a fucking superhero in there. All right? DC is a fucking superhero in there. And so is Stipe. They're both fucking badasses in there. It was crazy because I felt like Stipe was beating No, DC was beating Stipe's ass in the first round. Second round, he's really catching Stipe with the stand-up. So, like, he's very confident. He just, for whatever reason, felt like he could walk through Stipe after that first round. He picked him up, slammed him, beat him up on the ground, and just started walking to Stipe with his hands down. Didn't care to take him down anymore and just kept walking forward with his hands down. And that's pretty much what ended it for him. But DC looked amazing in those first 2 rounds. And then the third round, he started really, Stipe started finding those body shots and seeing how it was affecting DC. And it was a pretty beautiful fight. These 2 heavyweights, they're throwing bombs. Dude, it went to 4 rounds. Right toward the end of the 4th round is when the knockout occurred. That was a fantastic fight. I'm watching it again, listening to the crowd, and I just like remember being there and just like watching the river dance, and it was just like a great fucking moment. Like, dope ass fight. Hopefully, if sports come back, we can get a third fight. They're talking as if that fight has already been signed, actually, which was another reason why I was since there's no fights. But when I went on the ESPN Plus app, it was like title fights, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen that since. Well, I watched it in the airport, but when it was on a bad quality, with like the day after, like an illegal upload or something on YouTube that was probably taken down like 30 minutes later. I saw that, so it was like a terrible angle. So I'm watching it this time in like the good quality video. It was fucking great. I can't wait for live fights to happen. Those are great moments. Third fight, I don't know what's going to happen. If Stipe really works on his wrestling just to take down defense, because he was able to take DC down, but if he can do not get slammed, as long as he has great takedown defense, I think he wins the third fight. But I thought he was going to win the first fight, and he got knocked out in the first round, and I gasped. I lost my breath. I lost my fucking breath for that fight. So hopefully, if we get sports again, we get to see that fight again. Man, strange times we're living in. I saw that the NBA owners are pretty much not going to pay players during this time, during the hiatus, which it's like, we're not playing. It's another game that Dana White's doing, because he postponed those events that yesterday's event that was supposed to be in London and the 2 following, and now the Khabib. He's postponed those events instead of calling them canceled, because if he announced them canceled, then at that point the fighters would have a claim to say, hey, this is something that happened out of their hands, it's a pandemic. They have the right to be paid. Other organizations canceled their events and paid the fighters immediately. But Dana White is simply saying that the fights are postponed and that these cards will just simply go on as soon as possible. So it's just a scam for him not to pay the fighters. NBA's doing the same thing. They're saying they're pretty much saying they're not going to pay players during the pandemic right now, during the layoff, the hiatus of the NBA due to this pandemic. More players have tested positive. You got Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, Christian Wood, a lot of celebrities, Tom Hanks, Idris Elba, a lot of people, man. A lot of people. It's pretty crazy out here, man. Everybody take care of yourselves. Be good to each other, man. Wear your masks, wear your gloves, wear your glasses. Be safe out there, social distancing. Don't even hang out with your buddies, Don't even hang out with your buddies. I'm going to give you all the social medias. Lo and behold, I'm going to give you all the social medias. It's if you want to follow the Instagram or Twitter, if you want to follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. If you want to follow my personal accounts, it's at my name's Jermaine. If you want to email the the podcast. It's Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow the podcast at babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Music. Shit, nigga, anywhere the podcast play, throw Pandora in there. I don't know why I don't put Pandora in the notes, but I always try to remember to say it. If you guys play Xbox One, you can go ahead and add your boy, SauceBoss414. You can check out the merch, teespring.com/stores/BOFpod-shop. You can watch me stream playing some Skyrim, probably some more games tomorrow. We can play some Civilization at twitch.tv/Babylon5. My name is Jermaine Event. This is episode 31. Lo and behold, it's if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, then you know that I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm also. So yeah, hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. Hoping to be here with you guys next week. Wish good health to you all, and yeah, hope to see you guys next week. Peace.